Hello, hello, hello. Got the microphone working this time. It's like people are already online. Fantastic. All you early birds, thanks for tuning in to Tug Live, September 16th, 2025. We have a great show for everyone set up tonight. We are going to cover 4 or 5 topics. Obviously, the last 4 most interesting topics of the newsletter in the past week. But also, we're going to talk about the September Tug giveaway. So, we're celebrating some awesome milestones. We haven't had a lengthy giveaway or a significant giveaway in a while. So, we certainly want to give back to all of you who, help support and promote Tug on social media. And giving you free membership seems like an ideal way to do that. So, uh, evening, Jim. Thanks for tuning in. Certainly appreciate you coming in every way. Hi, Claire. Thanks for tuning in as well. I think we got Jeremy, Billy Mock on. Awesome. It's going to be a great show tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in again on another Tuesday night with the Timeshare Beard, chatting about the most interesting topics in the timeshare world over the past week. The newsletter, first topic of the newsletter was about this very program, Timeshare Live. I have to admit, I absolutely love doing these videos more so than actually doing the scripted videos, just because I get to interact with people, actually discuss the main topics that we talked about in the newsletter and that are the most popular topics on the Tug forums on a weekly basis. And it's stuff people really want to hear about and want to engage with. And seems like enough people want to get my take on it. Although I'm probably sharing many of your opinions, but to hear someone in the industry continually bring up these topics and give their take on it and how, what, when, why we're dealing with is always more content on the internet about timeshares can't be a bad thing. Certainly got to be something to go up against the constant stuff you guys see in the advertising with the exit and cancellation companies that are telling people all the ways they can guarantee they can get them out of a timeshare. So we'll try and focus on the other stuff and give more wholesome and generally good timeshare content. So first one was this episode, Timeshare Live, or this series that we have every Tuesday night. Hope you all enjoy the content that we're given, and you will continue to join us on Tuesday nights. This is an interactive show, so we got all sorts of people online. You can engage and type and ask questions and such. Eventually, maybe we'll have some guest hosts on. I see Jeremy of Destination Timeshares on. Maybe we can do some sort of collaborative effort where we pretend we're like on a debate team in high school and pick a side to argue about and see what we can come up with. Anything to, again, stimulate conversation and have more and more people talking about timeshares, something other than the negative stigma that usually focuses on this industry. So going into the actual main topic, one was a story that came out, an interview with the Art of President, Jason Gamble, that kind of bucked the narrative. For most people you see in the mainstream media, there's been a talk on how Vegas is experiencing a slowdown this year in travel and spending. And I don't know if people want to call it a catastrophe or a crisis or whatever blame they want to call it, but it definitely seems evident that Vegas has seen a significant decline in this year in expected numbers or usual numbers in relative vacation travel. Maybe it's people want to go to the beach again since, now I think COVID is certainly well in everyone's rearview mirror and people want to go out and experience the breath of fresh air that is the outdoors in many locations. Or maybe people just don't want to go to Vegas. Maybe people flights are more expensive to Vegas this year. I really don't know. But what was interesting in this particular topic, in this particular interview, was that they mentioned that timesharing has not actually seen a slowdown in occupancy rates, meaning the timeshares have an average occupancy rate based on other years. They're not seeing less and less timeshare owners visit these resorts. And as such, you're not feeling the pinch that the rest of Vegas is experiencing with lower occupancy rates for hotels and casinos and probably bookings for events and venues and so on and so forth. So I just thought that was a very interesting discussion to see that announcement that, while hotels and casinos have seen a significant downturn, at least enough that it's made people, open their eyes or raise an eyebrow or two, the timeshare industry just isn't or hasn't been impacted by whatever reason is causing the rest of people that normally would visit Vegas to not visit Vegas. So could be contributed to a number of factors, as mentioned in the interview. One that, when you have a timeshare, and especially for fixed week owners, you kind of you pay for it or you lose it, use it or lose it. I realize that doesn't apply to all timeshares, but it is in many cases. You've booked your vacation, you've already paid for it. It's a prepaid vacation, for lack of a better term. So you're probably going to go. Also, people that own timeshares probably are far more further out planners than the average Vegas visitor who might just want to go somewhere for a weekend or get a promotion. And, it's kind of a last minute spur of the moment thing where I estimate that most timeshare owners are probably far more detailed planners, meaning they've got this booked out 6 or 12 months in advance. They've already got their car's reservation. They've already got the show tickets that they're going to go to. They've already booked their flights. So, for you to cancel that, whether it's, political reasons or socioeconomic reasons or fear of whatever happened to that would impact the average person who, sees something in their email about, come to Vegas for the weekend, we'll give you $99, hotel stay or something to that effect, who might choose to go elsewhere and not take up that deal. Timeshare owners by and large are probably still going to take that vacation. They're still going to have enjoyment. They're still going to go to the resort that they knew they were going to go to, and they're still going to have a great time. And maybe a byproduct of that is they're going to enjoy less crowds, less lines. Maybe show prices have gone down a little bit to try and drum up additional business. So it could be a boon to timeshare owners that there has been such a reduction in regular vacation travel to Las Vegas that any timeshare owner going there is seeing a significant or at least a noticeable decrease in other people traveling to Las Vegas and otherwise standing in line or using your favorite slot machine or whatever tickles your fancy when you go to Vegas, to seeing the Hoover Dam or something like that. But it was an interesting thread. I decided to post the article because hey, interesting stuff that you probably wouldn't normally come across your email or your Facebook feed or whatever you use to get news. To show that the timeshare industry and it continues to defy expectations. I know that the time I've been here on TUG, I've seen people foretell the impending doom and the failure of the timeshare industry at least 3 separate times, with different situations in the world and in terms of the economy and such, and it just continues to grow almost year after year. Now there are obviously a couple examples where it did cut back, that crash in 2008 and such like that. But the fact that they're still seeing, I think it was $11 billion last year alone in retail sales, and tens of billions of dollars in economic impact on the vacation travel industry. It is very, very clear that, timesharing is here to stay. Now, what format it may take moving forward, it's anybody's guess, especially with the constant flux that the industry seems to be in terms of consolidations and purchases and divestitures and is in terms of Wyndham. Hard to see where it's going to be in 10 years, but anyone who would put a bet right now that the timeshare industry is going away or somehow going to implode on itself, you lost that bet every year for the past 30 years, and I'm certainly not going to make it now. It's a great ride, and Tug will be here to share the news with everyone who's willing to watch as it comes along. So if anyone else saw this article interesting or you didn't see the article, you can go online. There is a link to each one of these topics we're discussing in the notes and the comments of this particular video, so you can go back and watch it later if you don't catch it, and watch the interview. It's interesting. If you're a timeshare owner, you certainly have to take it with a grain of salt. It clearly was a promotional interview for ARDA. Jason Gamble is the president of ARDA, and he is paid to promote the industry, and he certainly does a great job of it. You can obviously see the spin there where everything about that is the sunshine and roses of the timeshare industry and doesn't focus on the negative, but that is his job. We also certainly the comments in the thread saw that no real focus on the exit stuff and no real focus on people forced to the exit companies, cancellation companies, no deed backs available for so many owners out there. I will say that I have had a couple of conversations with people in the industry. They recently released a new website in an attempt to directly combat the timeshare exit and cancellation companies, and it is hopeful. Again, I'm hold my breath and hold them to that. They're very hopeful that this shift or this attempt to directly attack the timeshare exit and the timeshare cancellation industry will result in more and more developers finally coming around and implementing their own surrender programs. They may not be the wonderful surrender programs like the free ones that Wyndham offers, but we're hoping that they're not on the other end of the spectrum where companies will charge 2, 3, 4 times your maintenance fees to surrender a paid off timeshare. But the fact that they are coming to the table, the fact that they are having the conversations is not something that they've done previously. And here at TUG, our fingers are crossed that we can announce multiple companies making efforts or making strides into making surrender programs more available and more accessible for owners that need them. Because right now, Their two options are either to find TUG and learn about the truth on exit programs, or get scammed into stopping paying on their timeshare. So, not a good situation. But again, with their focus on this timeshare consumer protection consortium, or whatever the last one was, the website focusing on targeting and going after exit companies, I truly, truly hope that this is finally the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces at least all major developers to implement some sort of deed back program for their owners, even if it's expensive. I certainly hope it's not, but any option is better than no option at all, which far too many of them have as the only solution for an owner who reaches out trying to get help in exiting their timeshare. Busy listening on preparing for your housekeeper tomorrow. All right, Clara, that's, hey, anytime you want to tune in and listen, I'm certainly appreciative. I'm glad that maybe my sweet, smooth, buttery voice is helping you pre-clean the house. Maybe you're like my wife, and then when the maid comes, she spends like 2 hours cleaning the house before the housekeeper shows up, just to clean the house even more. So don't understand it, but it's my job to nod and smile and say, great job, honey, not to argue with my wife. So I learned that somehow I don't expect more timeshare companies to make it easier to exit. Marriott is going the wrong direction. The fee to deed back. You're not wrong. Marriott implementing now their $400 deed back program. Certainly not a step in the right direction. Although I think, again, if I had to bet on it, I would anticipate even Wyndham will eventually adopt a fee to surrender program. I'm hoping that, just to put it out there, I mean, there is a tangible cost in surrendering your ownership, meaning you can't just sign a piece of paper over and be done with it. They're all companies. If you were to transfer it to another person or sell it, just like when you bought it, there was a fee for in most cases, transferring the deed and filing paperwork and so on and so forth. So administrative costs are involved. Now, is that thousands of dollars? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Is it $100 or $200 or $400? Sure. So I would expect anything under $500. I wouldn't. Again, if I had a choice, I'd make them all free. But I don't think that's a reasonable reality. Sub $500, I think most timeshare owners, I think the vast majority of timeshare owners in a position where they just want out of their timeshare would greedily lap up the chance to surrender their ownership and be done with it for $500 or less. I have the issue with the companies that charge thousands of dollars, the developers that charge thousands of dollars, and per contract in that to give up an ownership. I genuinely think that is something that puts a bad taste in someone's mouth and drives more and more owners to exit companies where they will be charged even more money to do the exact same thing. But there's got to be a happy medium between, you can give it back completely free, or you can pay an absolutely absurd amount of money to give it back. That said, there are just far too many companies out there that don't provide any options at all. Meaning, I can't even pay you $5,000 to give it back or $10,000 to give it back. You just don't give me any option whatsoever. I would rather an owner be presented with an option that they find distasteful. In the example of Blue Green, what is it? 18 months of your maintenance fees or something like that. Diamond Resorts is now $1,250, I think, or $1,500 per contract. There was an individual who mentioned that even $1,250 might not be ludicrous. However, they had like 5 contracts. So it'd be like 10 grand for them to give their timeshare back, which was that in itself, trying to get out of a multiple contract there. I can understand maybe $1,500 per owner to get out of all your timeshares, but when you multiply it by the number of contracts, especially, that person was likely sold those contracts year over year, going to owner updates and upgrading their membership instead of consolidating them into a single ownership. Now they technically have 4 or 5 or 6 different contracts. Diamond Resorts is likely unique in that situation, but the fact that you just have now added an additional barrier to someone being able to find a reasonable way out makes, if you told me it's $10,000 a year to my timeshare, my options now become, I'm just not going to pay you anything and just let you deal with it and come after me or whatever you want to do. Or I'm going to genuinely look into an exit company that might charge me only a few $1,000s to quote unquote get rid of my timeshare, which, unless I knew otherwise, that I'm just going to stop paying for my timeshare in that regard. So when you put all these barriers up, be them the financial barriers or just flat out don't give people the option, it's just feeding the fuel that is funneling millions and millions of dollars into these timeshare exit and cancellation companies, which, one, enriches someone for doing something additionally heinous in this industry, and two, just makes a whole bunch of unhappy owners and a whole bunch of really, really awful stories on the internet that would otherwise prevent someone from buying a timeshare. I mentioned it the other day that I never in a million years thought that the most negative part of owning a timeshare now would be exit companies and or trying to get out of a timeshare. The stigma and the dark cloud that follows this industry. I never thought that the crappy used car salesman presentation scam stigma of the industry would be overshadowed by something. But here we are. You still have that. Don't buy at a timeshare presentation. You'd be a fool to buy a timeshare, or these are just shady presentations. Don't go there. Yeah, that still exists. You see it, mentioned in today's modern cartoons and sitcoms and stuff. That most people still think it's a terrible idea to buy a timeshare, but owners now are faced with a much darker industry, and that the timeshare exit and cancellation companies are now more predatory than even the salesmen were trying to sell a timeshare to you in the first place. Again, you asked me 10 to 15 years ago, I never would have thought that that the timeshare industry could overcome the stigma of the terrible, shady, scammy timeshare sales presentation, and now to see that they have overcome it with an even worse reputation, absolutely mind blowing to me. And the fact that it's continued on and just kind of just manifested itself throughout the entire industry over the last 10, 15 years, when the very first postcard companies started so many years ago. And it's just now absolute big business, and the industry is funneling its owners into that very business. It is just an absolutely wild dynamic that I've never encountered in any other industry across my experience on this planet. Maybe someone else has some ideas of something similar, but it's certainly none come to mind for me. So anyway, moving on to item number 3. This is an absolutely fantastic post. We get a question all the time: is, hey, I hear RCI weeks, RCI points. What's the difference? What's pros versus cons? Is it Coke versus Pepsi? Is it and someone, Jan M, you are absolutely awesome. This is probably one of the most informative, detailed posts that I've seen on the TUG forums in a long time. No, it doesn't go into the inner workings of weeks and points, but she is systematically defining why she feels, and I'm not saying that points are better than weeks, but you read her argument and she makes a very compelling one. The benefits to owning RCI points over RCI weeks in her situation. She owns both. So, I mean, you have someone who is able to tell the tale from both sides of the coin as being an owner in both systems. And I'm gonna read a couple of excerpts here because just reading it is, I would urge you to click the link and read the whole thing yourself. I would spend the next 15 or 20 minutes reading this if I read everything. But the bottom line, and she mentioned here, in short, one of the big benefits is you can borrow points from your next use year. You prepay the next year's maintenance fees. You pay the current year amount at the end of the year to make up for it if the fees happen to go up. But with weeks and TPUs, you have to do the same way. But when you're depositing in RCI points weeks, you have to deposit your week and then pay the fee to combine those TPUs, where you're allowed to just pay your maintenance fees, and now you have your next year's points. That the big downside to go away with that is with weeks, you don't have the option to rent TPUs if you're short a few, which is kind of a downside. But with point accounts, you do have the option to rent points. So if you just need a few thousand points or 10,000 points or however many happens to be, you can rent them. And the cost is fairly reasonable. You can rent them from another owner and have them transferred into your RCI account. And that is a huge benefit to people, like we're going to talk about here in a little bit, where you're taking multiple vacations based on the single week or maybe the 2 weeks that you own, because you get that allotment of points, and you can use some of these amazing values that we're going to talk about here in this post to take 3, 4, 5, 6 vacations for that 100,000 RCI points. And I'm just using that as an example to be able to reserve a 5,000 point week or a 10,000 point week or a 20,000 point week. You can see how you can turn a single week's worth of maintenance fees into 4, 5, 6 different vacations. Now, obviously, for some people, taking 4, 5, 6 vacations in a year doesn't sound very appealing. But for those that are in, we'll talk about it, maybe we're in the go-go stage of retirement when we get to our next topic, who are absolutely looking to visit new places and seek out brave new worlds and civilizations, to see some of these vacation spots that you can reserve for an absolutely minuscule amount. I believe one other member who was on our show mentioned that they have tons and tons of sub 10,000 point or 10,000 point RCI point and below last minute deals. 16, holy smokes, Claire, 16 vacations a year. I mean, almost at this point, it's almost easier for you to mention how many days you don't take on vacation. That's wild. 16, maybe because I got 2 small kids, but 16 weeks a year does not sound pleasant. I think I I would be committing some atrocities if I had to plan 16 family vacations. I don't even know how you plan that much. That's wild to me. But hey, in seeing that I posted the thread that we always get 3 to 5 vacations, 70K. Yeah, the RCI at 10 points or less. Diana Roy, absolutely. Mentioned that either last week or the week before. I had no idea that there were quote unquote last calls for 10,000 points or less. So I can see how in this situation, uh, if you had 100,000 or 150,000 point contract with RCI, if you only stuck with those sub 10,000, I mean, that's Clara could go on vacation for, take all our trips with a one single maintenance fee. Now, I will say that she mentioned that you do pay a fee when you reserve these items, but still, if what was it, like 279, or I'll go back and look, what was it to reserve these items? But you pay your maintenance fees, and hers are right at $1,000. Let's say you take 5 weeks, and you deposit out of there with those 100,000 points, and you pay 299. That's another $1,000 or $1,200. So for $2,200 or double your maintenance fees, you've got 5 weeks of vacation for your single RCI points week. That is, I mean, you're not going to find that sort of value anywhere else. And I mean, I don't care. Maybe if you're a single person and you have some sort of Motel 6, or you're using your frequent flyer points or something like that, you can find value in staying in hotel rooms. But you're certainly not going to find anything comparable to staying in a timeshare at many of these locations. So no longer consider going to timeshare as vacation now. Maybe, again, if it was just me and my wife traveling, yes, I absolutely see, being retired, traveling the world, seeing the sights, not a care in the world. Doesn't matter where I go. I'm just looking to see something new and experience the world. Yeah, absolutely. That's not your typical vacation. For me in my situation, I had 2 small kids in school. I got to plan around t-ball. I got to plan around after school activities, gymnastics and jujitsu, and then school starting and stopping and spring break. I mean, it's almost a full-time job. Yeah, that's going to sound just ridiculous. A full-time job taking care of 2 kids. Yes, it is. It's almost a full-time job separately trying to plan vacations for family vacations. So, and then I got to condense them all into summertime, as it's really not feasible to take a family vacation when you're in the middle of school year. But yeah, man, I just, this is where, when you see someone post on the internet, what's the value of a timeshare? Or why do people buy timeshares? Or, timeshares are rip off. It costs too much. Your maintenance fees go up. When you use timeshares like this, and you are able to understand the nuances of what's available with your ownership, and you make the right purchase on the resale market, of course, you can parlay these single weeks, or these points ownerships, into multiple weeks of vacations. And I mean, I think they mentioned that they took, what, 5 or 6 in 1 week is the most they got. Here we go. Take advantage of 6, some to 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That's insane. And you take 8 weeks of vacations with your single 122,000 RCI point contract. Now, obviously, you're taking 8 weeks and these 10,000 points. Chances are they're not going to be 2-bedroom penthouses in Hawaii on Thanksgiving type things. But yeah, it's not like you're staying in dumps. I mean, these are fantastic options for you to choose from, and the value is there. I mean, even staying at I've stayed in some hotels. I used to travel for work 40 some odd weeks a year, and I've stayed in some nice hotels in some crappy areas, and I've stayed in some really crappy hotels in some nice areas. I have never gone to a timeshare where I felt that the room was a dump, or that the resort was a dump. So, I mean, and I've stayed in some very, very cheap getaways, for in terms of the cost, would far exceed. I mean, you can get better value than what used to be, $99 a night staying in a hotel was kind of where the bar was set. That was a good deal, or that was a great deal for a hotel room. So seeing less than that for a timeshare, and what these come out, this is, I've been able to get several weeks out of the points from our, yes, you have to pay the exchange fee for each time. I look at it this way. If I just use our week and it has a value of $950 in maintenance fees, the current exchange fee is $299. So any stays after we have the first one costs us $300 without having to own any additional weeks. Say we get 4 weeks from a year's points, I'll spend a total of $1,850 or $460 a week for 4 weeks. If you have the vacation time flexibility to go within the last month and the deep discounts, that's wild. $460 a week. What hotel could you go on Travelocity right now? If someone's sitting there, find me a hotel for a week anywhere, and some, obviously, pick a vacation destination. I'm sure I can go to Paducah or North Dakota for $460 a week, but pick a vacation destination: Myrtle Beach, Branson, Vegas. I don't care. $460 a week. What does that get you? Can you even reserve a hotel room for $460 a week? I don't think you'd be able to. I think you would struggle to do that. Maybe if you didn't go during the weekends, but you know, leaving on Saturday for a 2-bedroom cabin in Virginia for 7,500 points. That's mind blowing when you know that you can get. This is why Grandview was the number one timeshare sold on TUG last year. The ones that the 122 or 98,000 RCI point packages for Grandview at $950 a year, that value is incredible. And she goes on to mention that I think a couple of the vacation village ownerships, not Parkway, although that's a very, very popular resort in Orlando, but I think it was Williamsburg or one of the other ones where she actually thinks that the value of those contracts, meaning you get 122,000 points for even less than that $950 a year. I don't know. I'd have to go look at that. But I think someone also said that there was a 4-bedroom ownership that you can get in RCI points at one of them that offered you 150,000 RCI or 153,000 RCI points per year, and that's the largest single week point value that I had heard of. But can you imagine if you're sticking with, even if you just use that to take the sub 10,000, that's 15 vacations a year. It's Clara category in her 16 vacation weeks a year. You know, I am not in the situation where I could take advantage of that, but imagine if you just parlayed that down to 8 or 4 amazing vacations at you know $20,000. I guess it would be $40,000 a piece. You could still take 4 vacations and just come under 160,000 points. You know, again, this is the sort of information is why TUG exists. Sharing this value and showing people, not just telling people, but showing people how you can take the timeshare investment. No, I don't want to call it investment. How you can buy a timeshare or take over a timeshare for free on the resale market. I've seen 100% seen Grandview ownerships offered up for free. How that you can take a resale timeshare in RCI points and parlay that into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks a year in vacation for you and your spouse or someone who's traveling alone. You're just not going to find that value anywhere else. And if you can, show me. Post it up in the comments below. I would love to see it. But for those of you who are interested in getting into timesharing and you're in this situation, I strongly exist, do a little bit more rating up on the time RCI weeks because these ownerships can be had for next to nothing on the resale market, if not nothing on the resale market. And you can use these points to not just stay at Grandview. Some people buy it. I would say the vast majority of people buying Grandview on the resale market are not interested in going to the resort itself and just using it for those RCI points to leverage these super cheap vacations. So kudos again to Jammin for typing up this giant informational guide on RCI weeks, or excuse me, RCI points. Again, anyone looking at that or interested in that, take a look at this. The link is down below in the comments in the description of this video, so you can click on it and read through it. She spent a lot of time typing this. It is a very, very long response, and it basically details her entire decades-long ownership of RCI points and RCI weeks, and why she is firmly convinced that RCI weeks are far superior. And again, after reading it, I tend to agree with her. If that was the route I was going, if those are the types of vacations that I wanted to take as a timeshare owner, RCI weeks would be where I was going there. So, all right, moving on. This is easily my favorite post of the year, even though I don't quite not in any of these categories yet. But it was a story in the Wall Street Journal about the 3 stages of retirement, and they called them the go-go stage, the slow-go stage, and then the no-go stage. And you can kind of infer from those names what those means. But the synopsis was that go-go years, you typically in your late 60s and early 70s, when you just get out of retirement, you are just absolutely going full tilt, taking all the vacations that you missed. Now you're not working anymore, finding ways to fill your time, going to see new places, going to visit family members that you haven't seen in ages, visiting the grandkids, visiting the regular kids, and just absolutely making up for lost time, essentially in 60s and 70s. And then after that, when you get from 70s to 80s, that kind of slows down a little bit. And I think that, kind of telling people what they already knew, that as you get above 70, your lifestyle probably changes significantly and you slow down a little bit, not quite going as fast and furious as you were in your 60s and 70s. And then obviously in your 80s and 90s, they call it the no-go stage, where you find more reasons to not go anywhere at all. And so, while that seems kind of duh, for lack of a better term, nothing groundbreaking inside there, it was interesting to see that broken down and to see all the comments. And this just got pages and pages of comments. People never really stop to think about what stage are they in, and obviously the 60 to 70 and 70 to 80 and then 80 plus is not going to be for everyone. It's obviously just a range that they discuss about. But hey, I'm 50 myself. I don't really. I guess I'm semi-retired, even though I run tug. But with the kids, it certainly is going to. I have a long time to go before I'm in the quote unquote retirement stage, and my kids are gone, and I'm able to get there. But it does make sense, and it was interesting to see all the different tug members who have been around for decades, and to what stage they're in, and to see that this is exactly how it goes. You finish retirement, and you absolutely want to make up for lost time, and then another decade goes by, and you maybe sell half your timeshares, or you're not quite going. You're focusing on the annual family reunion is your main vacation, or maybe you got to take 2 trips a year to visit family, or set up something in on the beach somewhere, and that is just a huge benefit to time sharing in this situation. Completely different from what we were just talking about before, where you're just taking so many vacations. But for retired folks and grandparents and such, to be able to book that family vacation. Hey, we always know we're going to Myrtle Beach in Thanksgiving, or we always know we're going to Destin in December. This is the family vacation. Families it's like clockwork. Families always know that they can book that flight, or schedule that week off at the beginning of the year, or whatever you need to do to make those travel arrangements, because it happens each and every year. It's tradition. And so when you're in that situation, it's especially when you get to the slow go stage, that focusing on that and knowing that it's going to be an amazing week every year to make family memories that you'll never forget. And then I guess maybe when you get to the above 80 stage, in the no-go stage, it's probably not so much that you don't want to go anywhere. It's that conditions and age and other factors just kind of prevent you from enjoying the vacation travel. I hate air travel. I hate, just because I spent so much time doing it, and I traveled pre 9/11. Now I go, travel now, and I would have never been able to survive traveling for work in a post 9/11 travel scenario. I just absolutely loathe air travel. Not so much the flying part. I don't mind the plane itself, but airports and TSA and schedules and close connections and missing connections and canceled flights, and it's just it is almost a foregone conclusion that getting from your destination, from your home location to your destination, was going to ruin your trip for whatever reason. And at least that's been our experience in the past half a dozen years we've tried to go the air. Maybe other people have better situations than me, but back when I was traveling for work, it wasn't that big of a deal to miss a flight. But when you're traveling with 2 young kids and your whole family, it's definitely a much bigger deal. You never really think about that when you're stuck in an airport and your luggage is somewhere on the plane, and you can't really rent any car because you need 2 car seats and you need a place to put your kids in the back. And so all things like that just kind of hit you. And I certainly miss not having to worry about stuff like that. But hey, it was pretty cool to see these different categories, and I have something to look forward to when I officially become in one of these categories. And I would assume that, yes, after all this time of focusing on family vacations, that once you get to the point where it's just you and your significant other, or maybe just you, I can see where the go-go stage, first initial few years of retirement, have you enjoying taking vacations in locations and options that you probably would not have chosen before that. And so, again, check out this post. Is a great. I saw so many people chiming in, many old salts on Tug that were mentioning. That's just kind of a great breakdown when you think about it, where you stand. A lot of retired people own timeshares and use that. But again, seeing which phase of retirement and 60s, 70s, and 80s you fall into, and seeing that described, and seeing other people describing those particular phases of their life and how they're slowly transitioning from one to the other was just a wonderful thread to read. And I would encourage anyone in that category to go back through and read that if you haven't already done so. And then the last option, the last thing we're going to talk about is the TUG September giveaway. So we haven't had an actual official giveaway in quite some time. We reached 28,000 members on Facebook, which is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. It is my goal 100% to make the Timeshare Users Group Facebook group the largest timeshare Facebook group on Facebook. That's a weird way to say that, but we're well on our way to doing it. We get hundreds of new owners a month. Thankfully, people that find TUG or find the TUG forums also find TUG on Facebook. I will say that Facebook is a different way of sharing information. I personally prefer the forums. It's a much more structured environment, and people get much more facts. I think people take more time to write out a response on the forums, a more detailed response to a question than they do on Facebook. And I think that's because the vast majority of people who are responding, not so much browsing on the forum, but responding on a forum, are likely doing so on either a tablet or a desktop, or a laptop. Whereas most people who are on Facebook are typing with their thumbs on their phones. So you get more shorthand responses. Yes, you get some wonderful feedback, and you get far more people engaging on Facebook. But most people will just read and either type, like it, or love it, or hate it, or instead of actually commenting on it. When I think you get more information in a response on the forums. That said, I don't care where someone finds TUG. I don't care where someone interacts with TUG. I don't care where someone gets the help and advice that they need to answer questions related to their timeshare. So if we can get thousands of people on the TUG Facebook page to find TUG or find the information that they need, help with their timeshare, get rid of their timeshare, sell their timeshare, rent their timeshare, whatever. If they can find that on Facebook and then to find TUG, I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Facebook is here to stay. Instagram is here to stay. Twitter is here to stay, or X, or whatever whatever name you're using for it at the current time. All that is here to stay, and there are far, far more people out there on the world that use those platforms and may or may not be finding TUG through those platforms than finding TUG through our web pages, or through the Google ads that we run, or through our forums now. And so I'm super, super happy. Keep trying to get people to TUG visit the forums. I appreciate that. Again, this is the whole reason for the giveaway. There's so many people out there that promote TUG. I see it all the time in the various Facebook groups that I'm a member of, timeshare groups that people let me stay in. I get kicked off a lot of them for various reasons. But I'm so thankful for those that either point a link to TUG when they see timeshare question or content, or someone asks a question and they know the answers on the forum, or they know the answers in a TUG advice article, or they know that they can get the answer by pointing them to TUG. All of these different platforms that people are going looking for help and advice. As long as the answer is TUG, hey, I'm all for it. So if we can get tens of thousands of people to join our Facebook group, the content is exactly the same as it is on the forums, meaning you're getting these questions asked, you're getting these questions answered. I just think you get more detailed answers on the forums, but many people just don't like that format and don't like the fact that you have to register on the forums and pick a new username. They like that Facebook's already done and it's your own account, and there's no requirement for me to interact on the TUG Facebook page and give advice. And there are thousands and thousands of owners out there who prefer that format for giving and sharing information. Trying to get people cross platform is never an easy task. You're absolutely right. I think that a lot of people are comfortable. People that are comfortable on a bulletin board, people comfortable on a forum are going to stay more comfortable. And I don't want to mention that it's perhaps a generational thing, but I think that, like, if my kids, was my oldest daughter's 8 years old. So in a few years, I'll start letting her get on the internet. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till she's 30. But she probably, seeing an online forum is probably not something she is going to be intimately familiar with, and certainly not going to something she recognizes. Versus, I have no doubt that if she logged into Facebook on her phone, or if she picks up my phone, and she could start scrolling and finding anything she wants very, very quickly. So, that is the technology that is most familiar to the younger generation. And the forum side, again, the information and responses there are far more detailed and far better an answer. But if you can't get that information to a person in a format they like, they're not going to read it. So I'm all about spreading the word of TUG throughout all platforms and through all channels I can. The forums may intimidate some people. You make a great point. That is 100% the case. And you will find, and I find similar things on Facebook as well, as you get, there are certain questions that are asked constantly on the forums, and there's certain questions that are asked constantly on Facebook. And you will find certain members of either side who have seen that question so many times that it frustrates them, or you'll see it on the pages. Use the search button, you find the answer, or this is discussed, this has been discussed so many times, read the stickies, or the common, just kind of a dismissive answer, because that person has already helped 100 people ask this question before, and for them it's become a drag. It's become kind of a labor to answer that question versus just typing in comment. Whereas the person who just came on the forum or even on Facebook, it's brand new to them. They just came here looking for help. So I like to pretend uh, when I first joined TUG is like learning a new language. Yes, people use acronyms. People, we have a glossary that's dozens and dozens of acronyms long. And it further. I always used to, the best comment I used to mention was that when you buy a timeshare, you're not given an instruction manual. You're not given an owner's manual like you enter the car, even though most people don't read the owner's manual in the car either. But uh, you're just given the keys and are told just to go enjoy, figure it out yourself. And so you look at TUG, and TUG is the owner's manual for timeshares. And unfortunately, it encompasses every single timeshare that's out there. And you have experts in each and every system, in each and every one of those subforums. And you have experts in different regions and different locations. And you have experts in systems that don't even exist anymore. And so you just have such an amazing collective of knowledge that exists on TUG, unlike anywhere else. And the information is there; it's getting it, it's finding it, and being able to understand it is obviously the hard part. And for people that only understand Facebook or are only able to use their phone, or that's the only, may not own a laptop, may not turn their desktop on in years, and so their only access to things like that. Facebook is absolutely more convenient for someone scrolling on their phone than the forums, even if you use Tap Talk or the mobile format that makes it easier to read. But again, you have that barrier of registration, you have that barrier of unfamiliarity, that you're walking into a room full of people, and not just a small number of people. You're walking into a room full of thousands of people and tens of thousands of people, that you probably feel as a new person that you are, like the little girl in the corner, begging for a slice of cheese, and everyone else in there is like, a well-established clique, and I see that intimidation, that it's real, it's tangible, and I don't feel that that's the same way with Facebook, if that makes sense. Meaning when you're engaging on Facebook, because people use their real names, not to say they don't use their real names on the TUG forums, but I find that most engagements on Facebook seem to be more, don't have that same stigma of being intimidated. That you don't feel that when you post something on Facebook or a group that you're joining a group of well-established people that might look down on you for asking questions, if that makes sense. Whereas I absolutely see where joining the forums, because there's just so much there and there's so much information, there's so many people, and it's so active that you can be intimidated by all of the people, just not realizing that those people are the only reason they're there is to share the information that they probably got from somewhere, some other person when they first joined TUG, and were there looking for help. And I'm thankful every single day that the vast majority of people who do post, "Hey, I'm here, I'm just looking for help," get that help. And people take 15 minutes to write a very detailed post, or providing them an exact link to the answer to their question, even if that question has been answered dozens, if not hundreds of times before in the past, because they know exactly how that person feels. And they were that person 10 years ago when they joined TUG and had no idea what was going on. And someone took the time, or a dozen people took the time to answer their questions, and give them the help and advice that they were looking for, even if it's not the answer they wanted to hear. Giving them the truth about the situation is truly what separates the TUG community apart from everyone else. And the forums are, by and large, the most active part of TUG and the most visited section of TUG in terms of traffic wise. So, hundreds and hundreds of people register on the TUG forums every month, and hundreds of people register on the TUG Facebook page every month. And again, as long as everyone is getting the same help and advice, and then the answers that they're looking for, it doesn't bother me whatsoever that people prefer Facebook to the forums, and some people prefer the forums to Facebook. We'll continue to promote and share that same information across those platforms. With that said, I got off tangent. We're giving away 10 free memberships this month. So if you, again, click the link here in this post, click the link and like and comment on the Facebook thread if you're a member of our Facebook group. If not, click it and join it. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Automatically entered in to win one of the 10 memberships. And you can get a second bonus membership. For those of you who are watching, like and subscribe. I guess you can like the video, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel that you're on right here. Click subscribe. And you are automatically entered a second entry. Even if you've already entered on Facebook, you still get a second chance. And bonus, everyone who subscribed to our YouTube video is automatically entered for all future YouTube giveaways, stuff like this. So if you're automatically subscribed, as long as you don't unsubscribe, which I don't know of many people who unsubscribe from stuff, especially YouTube subscriptions, any future giveaways we give on Facebook, you're automatically entered, even if you don't see it or you don't know about it. You can still win, because I just take all of the subscribers, and we've got thousands of them at this point. We're closing in on 5,000, and I'll have another big giveaway when we get to 5,000. It's hard for me to scroll through all that. Don't you have a lifetime membership? I better go enter for free membership. Yeah, exactly. The guy with a lifetime membership is hoping he'll win a free membership. I can't give you 2 lifetime memberships. I guess I can maybe extend your lifetime membership past the end of your life. I can offer that for you. To answer the questions, yes, Destination Timeshare, Jeremy has a lifetime membership to TUG. It's not something that can be bought. It's not something that's ever been sold. You can earn a lifetime membership to TUG either by, one, being a volunteer, meaning someone who has volunteered their time and effort to help write or update articles, to moderate the forums, to moderate our Facebook pages. TUG relies on volunteers to do the vast majority of the work. Especially prior to my arrival, TUG was a group of just regular timeshare owners. And so my father was granting lifetime memberships. It's not fair to charge someone a membership for something they help build, or something that they help build better, or make better. So I absolutely love giving out lifetime memberships. In the case, the other option is if you refer 10 other members to TUG, 10 other paying members to TUG, you earn a lifetime membership that way. So there have been less than 100 lifetime memberships ever given out on TUG. So if you see someone with a TUG lifetime membership, you can thank them, because they did and probably far more than the membership is worth in terms of giving back to the TUG community and making it what it is today. So other than that, I continue. I give away hundreds of free memberships every single year. At my way of giving back, TUG is not a commercial. I don't want to say that, because it certainly, we charge for a membership fee. The goal of TUG is not to make money. Obviously, there are way easier ways to make money in the timeshare industry than running a website that tells people the truth about timeshares. That's just not how you make a lot of money in this industry. That is a whole nother road people travel. My goal when I took this over and taking over from my father, and he started this group as a way to help owners get the information that they need to avoid making bad decisions about a timeshare. Because he made a bad decision about a timeshare, and at that time, Google didn't exist. And so TUG will always exist as long as I'm here, giving people that information for free. Those people that want to support the site, absolutely, the membership still exists. That's how we make sure that TUG doesn't have to seek out sponsorships. TUG doesn't have to run advertising from people. We become we maintain ourselves as a completely independent organization that does not rely on having to tote anyone's line or to promote anything over anyone else except the truth. So lifetime membership was a surprise last year. Absolutely, Diane, you're wonderful. We certainly appreciate all of you volunteers out there that help keep the Facebook page running. I certainly don't have to do that. Don't have the free time to monitor Facebook 24 hours a day. So there are multiple moderators on the Facebook page, because a lot of people like to exploit stuff on the Facebook page, trying to, again, the money in this industry is telling people what they want to hear in order to extract money from them. TUG goes the other direction, and we're telling you the truth about timeshares, and you don't have to pay us a dime for it. So as long as I'm around, that is what the focus of TUG will be. And for those of you who make TUG what it is, happy to give you guys lifetime memberships. You've earned every accolade that you can be given, and that's the biggest thing I can give you is you're here for life. You never have to pay a membership fee for the rest of your life. However, you can earn that same thing by writing resort reviews, referring other people to TUG, or winning our contests that we give away each and every month. So again, like the post, click down here in the comments to click on the post to like on the Facebook page, join the Facebook group, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you automatically get 2 entries in to win this month's free membership giveaway. We're giving away 10 of them. 10. Just 1 0. I think that's backwards, but 10 free memberships this month. We'll have another one next month, and an even bigger giveaway when we hit 5,000 subscriptions for the TUG YouTube page. But again, thank you all so much. For those of you who are on 49 minutes now, I can't believe that that many people have sat here and watched me talk. So currently, what do we got? Oh, we got another comment. I'm going to read it because you typed it. I'm going to read it. Currently doing 21 night stays in Vegas. 300. How did you get 21 nights in Vegas? Is that like this consecutive? Is that is that your 21th night? A $349 reservation for 21 nights seems almost unbelievable. That's like, what, math is hard. What's that? $25 a night. That's pretty incredible. That would be the wildest. If you did that with RCA points, man, type that in the comment below. I want to read more about that. That's pretty amazing. Points members can book 21 night stays. Is that, but 349 for the reservation? I guess not factoring in the points that you use to do that. That makes more sense. So that's wild. 3 weeks in a timeshare, as long as you don't have to move rooms. Man, that's points members book 21 RCI points. That's incredible. Again, another example of that sort of value just doesn't exist anywhere else in the vacation travel industry. I don't know of anywhere else that you could reserve 3 weeks. Do you have to move rooms? Do you have to, or is that the same room for 3 straight weeks? I mean, I know people who have strung 3 weeks together, but sometimes they have to check out on Sunday and then check back in to a different room, which is, not that big of a deal. But 21 consecutive nights in the same room, and yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, same question as Jeremy. Is that 3 7-night reservations, or is it like 10 3-night reservations, or 10? I'm just terrible at math. I went to public school. I'm sorry. Is that so 7 3-night reservations? What we got to have details. This is the hard hitting investigative journalism that you guys have come to know and love about Timeshare Users Group, and how we provide these life-saving, cost-saving tips. This is my second month, never moved rooms, and I've been upgraded. Wow, that is incredible. That is wild. I mean, I truly want to know more about. I mean, that is crazy. And it's Vegas, right? I think you said you were in Vegas, or you didn't. It is in Vegas. Yep. So I have to imagine that you only be able to do that in Vegas or Orlando, or just because there's just so much availability there. Not that, for a slowdown or anything, but there's more timeshare units. There's more weeks and intervals available in Vegas and Orlando than anywhere else that I can think of. Have you ever done that to, like, could I realistically do that in Myrtle Beach? Could I do that in Destin? I can't imagine if you only got 1 or 2 resorts in a location. Key West, it'd probably be unheard of. But that's crazy for your maintenance fees. What's the maintenance fee? What do you own as your underlying account there? I'm just rambling here. So any of you who are signing off, thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys next Tuesday. I'm going to stay here and chat because this fascinates me. This is the craziest discounted timeshare vacation I've ever heard. Several resorts that offer 21 nights, and I bookmarked them all. They're all across the country. Currently, Florida's cheap. Is that Orlando, or is that I can't think of any other place in Orlando that would have enough rooms to allow that. We say 13 nights in Daytona. Yeah, that's not all resorts offer long stays. So it's one reservation for 21 nights. It's not 3 separate reservations at the same time. That's interesting. I mean, I guess that's easier to book if you could somehow, you're making a single reservation for 21 nights versus trying to get 3 separate week-long reservations at the same resort. Yes, one reservation. That makes more sense. So, okay, do you want to share with those resorts, or do you? I mean, I understand if you want to keep that close to the vest and not share that information, but I thought it was interesting that there are only a number of resorts that offer 21 night stays. I mean, that's thing I never in a million years would have thought to have looked for a resort that offered a 21 night stay. One reservation was 21 nights using points. If I were using them, I would have 3 separate reservations. I got you. So, yeah, that is cool. I have to admit, can you tell if you're using weeks, you'd have to make 3 separate reservations? That makes sense to do that. Many vacation village resorts offer longer stays, others too. Do you want to tell us what resort you're at in Vegas? Again, you don't have to. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'm not going to be mad if you don't answer. I'm curious at what resort is in Vegas. Man, I don't know if I could survive 21 days in Vegas. That's man, I'm about ready to come home after like day 4 or 5. Like maybe I'm just getting old and grumpy and what do you do? Are you there for conference? Is there a conference that you're going to? Because I remember last used to go to SEMA, the car and truck show giant convention that they have there for a week. But man, 21 days in Vegas, I would either be broke or unconscious. Grandview, the only vacation. I didn't know she mentioned that she used Vacation Village. I think Diane mentioned that Vacation Village does that. I didn't know if January mentioned that where's it a Vacation Village? I'm going back up and looking to. Yeah, she didn't mention what resort system it was. So I mean, I guess technically it could be Grandview, but I'm genuinely curious if there's some other resort there that you can make a 21 night stay in. That's okay. If she didn't want to tell us, man, that's people get you have proprietary. I don't call it proprietary, but you have hidden knowledge like that, and if that became common knowledge, it'd probably be less chance for you to be able to do it moving forward. Although tempered with the fact that I don't know how many people would be looking for a 21 night stay in Vegas. That's pretty crazy. To when you come to think about it, I could definitely do like 21 nights in St. Thomas, or what's that one resort in Fiji that's got the cabins that are right on the water, meaning I like the cabin is surrounded by water. I could totally spend 21 nights there. Grandview office 21 nights, the Berkeley office 21 nights, several resorts in Vegas offer 21 nights, even Worldmark. That's interesting. Man, I wonder what it cost in Worldmark points to 21 nights in Vegas. Some Worldmark owners bound to be on. Don't you go look up and see how you can see what it costs in Worldmark points to reserve 21 nights. That's crazy. So you stay in at Grandview for 21 nights, and do you have something that you're visiting, or what all do you do in 3 weeks? If I had 3 weeks in Vegas, do you do this every year, or is this just like a one-time thing? I got so many questions, so I'm sorry, I'm just firing them at you. This is fascinating to me. I don't mean to keep all the stuff on. So for other people who want to chit chat off, I'll definitely edit the chapters to make sure that we've gone off the deep end, way beyond the weekly recap. So I'm down for 21 nights in Aruba Surf Club. Me too. Yeah, give me a Caribbean beach with a deal on frozen rum drinks. I could get behind a 21 week. That's a long time. 21 day stay. 20. Yeah, exactly. I think we're all in favor. There we go. We definitely have woken up the crowd. I can get behind 21 weeks in the Caribbean. Yes, 100%. So someone work on that. Why don't we change the TUG annual get together to be 3 weeks long in Aruba? And that would be. Not sure I could get 21 nights at Surf Club. See, now you have me trying to figure out how much it would cost to stay at some of these other resorts using traditional methods. Meaning, if I had weeks on out, I'm not even sure you could. I would cringe at the number of abound points it would cost to reserve. But I think Aruba Surf Clubs, they're all deeded weeks, so but how much it would cost to reserve three consecutive weeks in Aruba? Absolutely not for $349. God goodness, no. No way for sure. Yeah, no. I mean, we're kind of out of touch with reality on that $349 trying to stay in something like that. But Frenchman's Cove, maybe. I mean, that's certainly more affordable. But what would it cost? Now I'm going to want to go look at what would it cost for me to reserve Frenchman's Cove for 3 consecutive weeks. Now I'm gonna have to go look up. I think the average. I have to go look up what the maintenance fee are. We'll see what the cost is of ownership. Meaning, if I looked up a 1 week ownership in Frenchman's Cove in a 2-bedroom, since it sounds like what they're staying in, we'll call that $1,700. I don't know what happens to be, and so that's right now we're at 35, and then carry the 2, and at a $4,000 and $5,000 in maintenance fees for 3 weeks there. Maybe we could do that with an exchange. Let's say we took our exchange, and I don't think she's I was saying to do an exchange, it would be way cheaper, but then you'd have to factor in your cost of maintenance fees, but although she didn't mention that. So getaways are finally $847 for Aruba. I mean, that's not terrible. If you, but could you get could you realistically get 3 getaways in a row? You certainly have to move rooms. I doubt there. We'll factor that out of the equation. If I could stay in Aruba at the same resort for 3 consecutive weeks, I would call that a win. So 847 would be the bare minimum. Plus, and on top of that, you have to factor in I guess you wouldn't. You're using a getaway. You're not using your maintenance fee weeks. So, I mean, technically, so that's, $2,800 bare minimum. If you somehow manage to get 3 consecutive getaway weeks, which would probably be next to impossible, that's still 5 times almost what she was costing for $350. Although I don't think she added the cost of her maintenance fees, because she's certainly using that with points. So we'll say $349 plus we'll say it's $1,000 in her maintenance fees if she owns a Grandview, 98K point package. So $1,300 for 21 consecutive days compared to, so that's almost 3 times as expensive for Aruba and a consecutive stay. And that's if you could find that. That's wild. It just shows you what kind of amazing deal that is, that you're able to use your RCI points to stay in Vegas for 21 consecutive days. I don't think you could reasonably do that anywhere else. That's truly incredible. And getting 21 nights in Marriott Hilton Head using Marriott Club points to be pretty cheap, perhaps doable if you book early. Yeah, I think you could probably if you didn't want to go during spring break and you didn't want to go during summer break, you could probably make that work on some. You could probably make it work in January if you if you wanted to go to Hilton Head in the cold. You could probably make that work. But I would genuinely, still it cost you club points, and now I don't think you're getting, uh, certainly not getting 350 for something like that. But no, this is just again, I'm constantly amazed every time I see someone talk about RCI points, on how cheap it is to reserve some of these vacations. Now, obviously, there's flexibility involved, and your schedule and your ability to travel have to fall in line with that. But just seeing the cost savings and the amount that you can get some of these vacations for is truly wild. Club points still go that far. Yeah. No, that's it would be a challenge. I think someone would have to work really, really hard to make that work. And I still don't think we could touch the $1,500 that you spent total all in with your annual maintenance fees on a 3 consecutive week stay at a particular resort. But hey, we've set a new milestone, a new low cost milestone for a vacation, and maybe that'll be the 2025 challenge. Is what's the cheapest month in Aruba that you could stay using your timeshare? 3 week stay. I think that'll be the 3 week stay challenge. I want to see what's the cheapest vacation you can get, 3 consecutive weeks in a resort. Currently, I have to say Grandview in Vegas. That's going to be hard to beat at $350. Club Wyndham's allows you to stay 15 nights for the same time for about $249 or $299. That's is that through what they're 15 nights for $249? And is that Grand Desert or and that's, I mean, it's some sort of challenge accepted. Yeah, now I'm looking for it. I'm all into this. The 3 week challenge. We'll call it the TUG 3 week challenge. So we'll see if anybody can beat the Grandview. Although I will say that if you could I'd pay a little bit more for 3 weeks in Aruba than 3 weeks in Vegas. That's just me, but it seems like that. I think some of us would. But hey, what's the cheapest 3 week stay we can get in some of these super hot destination areas? I'm genuinely curious, and this I think this will go a long way into promoting the value of timesharing and how much you can stretch your vacation dollar, and why people love timeshares. Using points, however, the points value is much higher with club. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I was really surprised. I mean, now we're factoring in your maintenance fees, where we're kind of blending a couple different options here. When we're talking about getaways and I don't have to use my actual weeks or whatever I happen to have to use an II getaway. I can just pay the cash price for those to stay at that. But no, we definitely will need to put some rules on this, where you need to factor in your maintenance fees if you're using your Wyndham points to take these weeks, or you're using your Vacation Village points. You need to factor in your annual maintenance fees for that. But so yeah, $349 sounds great, but if you used up all of your points, that's another $1,000 on top of that it technically cost you to make that reservation. But no, I like this. I'm gonna make a post about it when I get done with here. The 3 week challenge. You have to be in the go stage of retirement for 21 days. You're absolutely right about that. No, I'm currently in the pre-retirement no-go stage with kids. But yeah, 21 days. I would also like to know. I mean, I can picture in my head what I can do for 21 days in Aruba or Virgin Islands or Fiji or some other. I can sit on the beach and drink delicious beverages all day, every day for 21 days. That's easy. I'm not sure what I would do in Vegas. I know there's only so many slot machines I can play, and so many. So I want to go see the Sphere. So that'll be at the top of my list. But man, I think I'd just be Vegas out before the 21 days. You're gonna have to let us know what your itinerary looks like for Vegas. Do you spend the day by the pool? All that. I mean, I guess that would work. Unless one can work remotely, I can. I certainly do when we take vacations now. It's not like TUG kind of stops when I go on vacation. It's answering emails. You can do that anywhere. But man, I don't. I want to do 21 days. I just want to relax. I want to not log in and have to do work. But hey, getting 3 consecutive weeks off, that might be. You'd certainly have to plan that. I haven't been in the corporate world in a while, but is that normal? Can someone take 3 consecutive weeks off? Or I guess it really depends on your job. If you could be gone to, I'm a hybrid. You work and vacation, same. I don't think I could ever truly shut off. I mean, even if I spent all day in a hammock on the beach getting a sunburn, I would have to come back and the end of the day catch up on all the stuff that I probably should have done throughout the day, but didn't want to. Then it's not a vacation. Well, I mean, is what is the definition of today's vacation? Can any of you truly unplug? I don't think I could. Meaning I could, but I know in the back of my mind it's a fault that I have if if I'm on vacation and I don't work or I don't answer email or I don't do some of the tasks, and in the back of my mind I know it's just piling up. Meaning I know it's not going away. I know it's not uh what's the word I'm looking for? It's no one's going to do it for me. I mean, I have to do it. It just the work just piles up. So sitting there enjoying myself for the day, it's always in the back of my head that the work I'm not doing now is just that much more work I have to do later. If that makes sense. So uh work remotely and our HQ is in Vegas. Well, oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, I'm all right about it. So it's technically 21 days of work trip. I like the way you think, January. That's fantastic. So I took 3 weeks off at one time in a Europe trip. Yeah, if your work allows it, I have to say, in all my years where I never considered taking 3 weeks in a row off. Now, obviously, you get 3 week vacations a year, but I never thought about taking it in a row. And I will say it makes more sense if you're going overseas or taking a long cruise or something like that. If you wanted to do it that would. I'm remote but can't work out of the USA. Is that just a security thing? They won't let you VPN in or something like that when you're working remote, or you just have to always be within a certain day's travel or to get back to where you were. I'm curious what the restriction there is. My friend works at PwC, just took 4 weeks straight, 2 weeks in Spain, 2 weeks in Japan. Absolutely makes sense traveling overseas because I do not want to spend a day and a half travel time to a vacation and then a day and a half back just to only get a couple of days of vacation. So I know my father they went over to Europe and did string together a bunch of different cruises. He does that where they'll take you know, go to Pacific Northwest and spend some time there, and then they go to Alaska and the cruise to the Alaskan cruises, and then they'll come back and then they'll fly to Hawaii and just kind of make the jump to destination. I can absolutely see taking multiple weeks off of that. And then I work during the day, not really a vacation. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm even when I come back from the pool for a little bit, I have to catch up. I know in the back of my head I just can't shut it off. I don't mind not working, but I can't stop thinking about the work going to be waiting for me, that much more work. If I'm not doing it now, it's just going to be twice as much work to do later. So that's a fatal flaw I've had for quite some time. The work is still there when you get back. Exactly. Just for me, I don't have the ability to flat out unplug and turn off and not think about it. Now, it bothers me to different extents, but that is something I know. I can't say it enough. The work is not going to get done unless I do it, and the longer I put it off, the more work I have to do to get it done. So security for sure, gotcha. That makes sense. Same for me. I can't log in outside the USA. It's interesting. I would have thought that again, it shows you how long I've been out of technology. Not being a Microsoft consultant for over 20 years, I would assume that today's modern VPN solutions would allow the ability to connect securely from anywhere on the planet as long as you get internet. But I guess the people looking to crack into systems are probably advanced just as fast as virtual private network security has advanced over the years. So that's interesting. I would have that is kind of a shame, but hey, that just means your 21-day vacation. Is there? Well, I guess Aruba is considered. That's how can you go to St. Thomas? Frenchman, U.S. Virgin Islands, still in the United States. I think maybe we'll our 21-day challenge. Maybe we have to move it from Aruba to within the United States. Hawaii, hey, Hawaii is within the United States. So we got all sorts of places we can go for 3 weeks. But T-Mobile Internet is the best. Yes. Oh, do you use the little cube thing? A friend of mine raves about the little T-Mobile wireless cube. It's like $60 a month for amazingly, blisteringly fast, high-speed internet, and it's just a little cube that's in no wires, no. I use Xfinity cable modem. I've just been happy with them for years, but I see the benefit to having just a box that gives you, free. More importantly, it sounds like it uses the cell tower technology. So even if Comcast goes out or your coax goes out or something like that, it's pretty rare that. Pretty sure all cell towers have massive either generator or backup batteries. So even if all the power is out everywhere, those are still running. So I've definitely considered that T-Mobile Cube and being able to take it with you. I'm assuming you can. The little black tower. Yes, exactly. That's a friend of mine uses that and raves about it. And he works remote for banks and stuff. And can't stop talking about it. If I ever got frustrated enough with Xfinity that I would dump them, that little T-Mobile Cube would be right up my alley. I think that's an ideal solution. Wi-Fi at Grande Vista is terrible this week. I'm definitely hit or miss. We went to the worst one I was experienced was the Daytona Wyndham. Why am I escaping? Beach Place Towers in Daytona. Man, that Wi-Fi was just absolutely horrible. I couldn't even connect. I couldn't even terminal in. That was how bad that was. Like that was super frustrating when your Wi-Fi doesn't work. I wind up just turning on my phone and using the hotspot there. So again, back Ocean Walk. Yes, Ocean Walk. We were on the 18th floor, I think, and the Wi-Fi was it was awful. I couldn't connect to just about anything. So probably people streaming their kids Netflix, YouTube Kids or something all around me. But either way, there's an excuse to have more vacation and less work. So I guess silver lining and everything. So. All right, then. Well, we have been chatting for an hour and 10 minutes, and I think we've covered all 4 chapters along with a couple of extra bonus features. I won't even charge y'all for the extra content that I provided this evening. You're welcome. Thank you very much for attending. And again, I love the interaction. I love the back and forth. That's truly why I like these. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see each and every one of you next Tuesday at 9:30. I doubt we'll take quite as long to chat that, and we'll talk about the next 4 most interesting topics for week 38, 2025. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and everyone have a wonderful evening. Happy timeshare.